How's it going, YouTube? Fwanky here, and today I'm bringing you my personal opinion on all the guns on Blood Hunt, and we'll be rating them S through C. So, a little disclaimer here. Yes, this is Microsoft Paint. Yes, I did just copy-paste the stupid guns on here, okay? I'm not a big editor guy. I don't know how to do this stuff. So, hopefully this will suffice. You guys get the idea. But, anyways... So this is my personal opinion, and you'll see that there's no like F tier or whatever, and that's because technically all the guns are incredibly usable, and I don't think there's like a gun that is unusable, but once ranked gameplay comes out, there's definitely going to be clear favors over others. So I'm just going to go down the list using the journal that's in the game, and let's start with the Assault Rifle. So the Assault Rifle. This one's pretty obvious. If you've even touched the game, this is just the staple, the bread and butter. You would drop most weapons when you see this thing, but it's not OP, right? Like, you have to hit your shots. It's got a pretty good ranging out. Like, its accuracy is pretty decent, and it's not super OP, and it's definitely, like, not bad by any means. So, by, like, Blood Hunt standards, it's... I mean, this one's going to be... This one's gonna be a tough one for some people to get because at first when you play, you're gonna think that this is like the greatest gun out of all of them. But after you use it for a lot, you're gonna see that it's not like the best gun for every single scenario. It's just insanely good. I really don't believe that it's S tier. I think a lot of people are gonna think that it's S tier, but I would say that it's A tier. It's just... And A isn't bad, obviously. Like, it's just the most perfectly well-rounded, great for most situations, not all. It's just accurate, and it's a really good weapon. So, for me, it's an easy A. We don't really need to talk about that one too much, honestly. Alright, next one is the Burst Rifle. So, this one is gonna be in a, like, super opinion, okay? The Burst Rifle, I fucking hate it, okay? Personally, I hate it. But I've watched my friend who uses it, and he's insanely good with it. So I recognize that it's a great weapon, but the fact that it doesn't have full auto, its range is pretty doo-doo, actually, for a burst rifle. Like, you would expect that a burst rifle would have some, like, good ranging on it, but it actually has doo-doo range, no matter what color you find the rifle at. And honestly, in my opinion... I don't think it's that great. Now, if you like using it in the hands of a skilled user, it is a really decent gun. But there's a lot of scenarios where it's pretty bad. The burst is strange. It's hard to get used to. It's a very not beginner-friendly gun. And while the damage is super there, the accuracy and everything else is what makes it really fail hard for me. So, personally, I have to put this in B. I could see people moving it up to A, but for myself, I really couldn't. Now, mind you, when I rate these guns, it's going to be all the colors. I'm taking them as an average, and it's like every color, you know? We're not going to take it by its gold standard. We're going to be seeing it for what it truly is. It's like how you're randomly going to find it. All right, the crossbow. We've come to the first one that is an obvious, like, if you know anything about the crossbow, you know where I'm going to put this. And also, I'm really sorry about how it pixelated. I screwed this one up while moving it. But without any argument, I mean, for sure, you guys know I'm going to throw this motherfucker in S class. That thing has won me so many games. I've won so many games using nothing but the crossbow. Now, there is a slight learning curve to it, right? And that would be that the bolt has a lot of drop-off at range, which, if you play it a lot, you'll actually find out it doesn't really matter that much. And its damage is insane. The fact that the puff cloud does so much a tick, it does like 20 a tick, I believe, or something like that. And if you direct shot somebody with it in the body, it's 100. And if you headshot with it, it's like 180 or something. So if you direct shot somebody, you instantly break their armor, because armor is 50 and you have 200 health. It does 100. You're now at 150, and if you're not smart, you're gonna tick down as you sit in the cloud and try to run out of it. Now, if you headshot somebody with it, they're damn near half health, if not half health. This thing is disgusting. And then you want to talk about the scenarios that it's great in. It's great in all scenarios. You pick up your secondary as your other favorite gun. So let's say you have AK. AK is like a standard. You should have it with any kit that you run. You can literally run it with any of this, right? If you have crossbow and you nail a guy with it, you swap to AK and you just burst him down. You pretty much win if you direct hit somebody with a crossbow. Now, even if you don't direct hit anybody and they're hiding in cover and you're just trying to get them out of that cover, it's one of the only things in the game that can move people from cover. And that's what makes it so strong, honestly. That final circle, getting tiny, it's construction, you're high ground, they're low ground. You know where he is, but you can't get to him. Just fire like 18 crossbow bolts down there, fill the whole area up with smoke. Like, it's insane. And you can drop in your own smoke and not take damage. So it obscures vision. It can push cover, which there's no nades in the game. So it's one of the only things that can push cover. The damage is insane. And it's just like super easy to use. It really is like insanely easy to use. The reload isn't too bad on it. If you're in a situation where you need to like shoot and then reload, instead you just swap to like, let's say your SMG and you would pop off. Like, this thing's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So I mean, that's an easy S tier. I guarantee nobody's gonna contest me on that one. Okay, next we have the double barrel. I have a cat trying to get on my lap. All right, so if there's gonna be any controversy with my videos, or with this video here, it's going to be with the shotguns. I really don't like them, but I appreciate the power of them. Sorry for my cat. This stupid thing is so hard to use. The shotguns in this game are weird. They're so weird to use, right? Because you know you have to run in close, and all the shotguns in this game are quite literally like melee weapons, basically. You can shoot mid-range a little bit and get some chip damage as you like go, but this guy only has 2 shots. So you shoot twice, you have to reload, and then I've heard reports that it bugs out and sometimes shoots both at once, or you only shoot once and then it forces you to reload for some reason. Like, it counts that both shots were fired. And you have a recipe for disaster here. Like, it's really hard to hit. When you hit, it can and does chunk quite well, but the reality of it is I would never, ever pick this weapon up over any others due to the way that like close range is fought in this game. It's like, it's really not hard to fight point blank. Hell, even with the sniper rifle. So for me, I know some of you are gonna hate this, but it's going into the C class. I just really hate it. There's no scenario where I'd ever pick it up. It's really bad in a ton of scenarios, unless you're like playing Bruja and you're not afraid to get in close. It's just not great. I don't know. That's the other thing too, by the way. Synonymous with any class. Synonymous with any class. This is synonymous with most classes. This is not. This struggles. I mean, like, there are some classes that, like, let's say the Muse. You're not really going to want this with the Muse. Especially with the way that the Muse plays out in solos and such. It's just not doing it for me. And so, speaking of weapons that don't do it for me, we got the dual crossbows. The dual crossbows, you shoot them out, there's a little explosion, and the explosion does like 25 damage. It does really, or 20, it does like really weak damage. And if you direct shot, it actually shreds. I think it does like 50, 75 damage. And like, that's pretty good. The problem with them is the slow projectile speed. It makes landing direct hits challenging. I had no idea it was even in the description, but that is so true. This thing is so damn hard to use, and the payoff for getting good with it isn't as great as you would expect, right? Like, why would I want to get super insane with the dual crossbows when I can just use the assault rifle, the AK, and, you know, there's a small learning curve to it. It's a friggin' AK, and it's just, like, so much better. And it's better in more situations. So, the dual crossbows for me, man. I hope there's no dual crossbow lovers in here, because guess what? This shit is C tier. Oh my god. I need to resize it. Hold on. This is a C tier. These friggin' things are so dookie. Like, yes, I've been absolutely destroyed by them. Don't get me wrong. But, like, the situations where I get destroyed by them is because I wasn't paying attention to the guys on my flank. You don't want these in a 1v1 unless you're a god with them. And there's just literally everything's better. And speaking of dual things that are better, we got the dual pistols. And these things are god tier. I actually love the dual pistols. And what makes them so great is they actually have surprising range. You can pull these guys out and plink dudes like way across the map for 12 damage. And yeah, that's not much. But you hit a dude 5 times, you broke his armor. Like, they're so goofy, but they're just insanely good. If you're good at hitting the headshot up close, you can actually shred somebody with, like, the purple dual pistols. And I love them personally. I think they're super good, super accurate, really easy to use, you know, if you have aim. And there's not a lot to say about them. It's just a super solid, reliable weapon. And for me, I would say that they are... Ooh. See, here, it is a little tough because... Here, let me shrink this. It is a little tough for me because... Is it as good as the AK? Hell no. No, absolutely not. Is it as bad as the burst rifle? No, it's not. So, I would say that they're A tier, but I would say they're like a back here A tier, you know what I mean? They're like, they're not B tier, but they're, I'm gonna have to put them at high B tier. It's a high B tier, and they're literally on the edge of A. Like, if I could, I would put them here, but they're probably gonna be the highest B tier on the list. They're super, super good. All right, the light machine gun. This one's a weird one for me. And it's weird, and at face value, you're probably like, oh, well, it's not that bad. It's strange because it gets more accurate the longer you shoot it, and the time to kill with it is a little longer than most other weapons. And it doesn't have a good long range. It doesn't have a god tier medium range, and it's not the best short range. What makes it really strong is you have a shitload of ammo, and that the more you shoot, the more accurate it gets. Now, up close, it's not terrible, but you're not going to beat an SMG if you're landing shot for shot. Mid-range, you know, you'll lose to the AK. And long range, it is fun to, like, put shots down on someone and cover and plink them really hard and, you know, get their shields down and all that stuff. But it doesn't beat any gun. This is I would say this is the jack of all trades. You can pick up a light machine gun, especially like a purple one, and you can do everything with it. You don't feel super insecure having it, and but like you're like, I don't know, you're not super vulnerable with it, but you know that you can't win all your trades with it. So with that being said, I would say it definitely goes into the B tier. It's just a weapon that's there, that's really good. You see it, you usually will pick it up. You replace things like the burst rifle or any of these two with it, obviously. And it is fun. It's definitely super fun, and easy to use. But it doesn't deserve an A tier quality, and it's definitely not S tier. S tier is reserved for the god tiers. And looks like I got kicked out of that. But anyways. So, let's see. What do we got next? We just did the light machine gun. Now we got the Marksman's Rifle. I'm not going to lie. The Marksman's Rifle, it grew on me. At first, I really didn't like this thing. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you just go full sniper rifle or go with the AK or, like, the light machine gun? You know what I mean? Because the fire rates, you know, it's all right. I think it hits 60s to the body. At range, it does actually have a slight inaccuracy, where the sniper rifle kind of doesn't. And so this one was weird and I didn't really like it, but I started using it a lot more, and at medium range I started getting headshots with it, and it was kind of gross. If they get really close, it does 180 damage headshots. I think that's like a blue one will do it. So that's pretty kind of like insane, and the fire rate's pretty damn good on it, in my opinion. And while it's definitely not an A weapon, if you pick one of these up and you decide to get really good with them and you enjoy using them, it's for sure a B weapon. Yeah, let's go ahead and just plop this puppy right into B. And I think it's pretty good to go right behind the machine gun. I think this is right where it belongs. It's definitely way better than the burst rifle. There is a slight learning curve to this thing, and there's going to be people that definitely don't like it for sure. I hated it when I first was trying it out, but after using it for a long time and kind of like getting a feel for it, because my girlfriend loves this gun, and I just didn't understand why, so I had to try using it. I understood after I started plinking a dude for 180 damage headshots. Like, he came in, I broke his shit, and then he was like, oh fuck, I'm in danger, and by then it was too late and I just bodied him. It felt super good. So it goes in B. It's definitely not an A. If you get pushed with it and you're starting to miss your shots, it has a really bad recovery time to it, and that recovery time will throw off a lot of players. And then ease of use as well. There are just players that aren't going to... They're not going to pick it up and be able to use it for the first time ever. It's just kind of one of those things. Minigun. Do I have to talk about this thing? Yes, it's rare to find. Yes, you have to battle a wave of AI that are actually really good in this game to get it. But none of that can take away how damn strong this thing is. Like, you pick this up and you've become God for 300 bullets. There's no one that can stop you. We don't even really need to talk about it. Good long range, good short range, good at all the time, good at your wife's house, good at like everywhere. You can have dinner with it. You can show it off to your friends. You can have it babysit your kids. This is an S tier weapon. It's just God tier. There's literally honestly, it should have its own designation up here called the minigun tier. It's so good. But that's what I reserved S tier for. So the minigun, easily, boom, S tier. We don't need to discuss it, honestly. Pistol. Okay. Dual pistols, we know, is B tier. Really good. The regular sidearm pistol. If you have ever pulled this puppy out and actually used it in a fight, and you're shooting it as fast as you can, you will have realized that it actually has some insane accuracy. And as far as damage goes, the damage isn't all that bad. I once had a guy in armor drop down behind me right as I finished healing. I had just gotten revived, and I was like, I don't have another weapon. Let me use this. I shot him in the head like 6 times in a row and finished him with body shots, and he dropped so fast. He dropped hella fast. So, is everyone going to be able to use this? No. Is it actually a good weapon? Yes, I want to say it's a yes, but it's like one of those things that it's like, it was my preference, and it's a scenario that I was in, and it's going to depend on the skill of the player pretty hardcore, realistically. So, I actually wanted to put this up in A tier, and I do want to put it in B tier, but realistically, it's back here with the burst rifle. I love using it. I would personally put it on the line with the dualies because I love using the pistol. As weird as that sounds, I will use pistol over the burst rifle. That is how serious I am about this. It's just one of those things. It's a personal preference, but I think it's good in most situations too. Obviously, if you match it against the other guns, you're gonna get beat usually. But like, it's good if it's all you got. I like it. Don't hate on my pistol, all right? Okay. Pump shotgun. This is where I have a little bit of respect for the shotguns in this game. There's only 2 of them, obviously, so 50-50 respect, I guess. It is pretty damn good. It's really strong. You get 6 shots, but it has a really, really weird thing that when you shoot, you get an insane amount of bloom. It starts to go down, you're spamming it, you shoot again, now you have insane bloom, now you shoot again, your next shot's going everywhere, and you can't pump out shots like you would think with a pump action shotgun, right? And it's just, they're so unwieldy in this game. I don't know if it's the movement, I don't know if it's the way they feel when you shoot, because it has a lot of kick, and then there's lots of bloom. I don't know if it's because it's third person. I don't know what it is. I hate the shotgun, but I have respect for the people that can and do use this because it's not terrible. It's not. I mean, just like with the break action shotgun, the double barrel, it's like if you're good with them and you know how to use it and you enjoy using it, yes, they're viable and they're good. All the guns are viable in this game, except for maybe the double crossbows. But for the hands of a new user, or even just like in some situations, wouldn't you want like an SMG instead? And then also for personal run-ins, I've never ran into somebody that they had one and I was like, oh, I'm scared, and then they beat me. That's literally never happened. So for me, I'm letting you know I'm putting this at the highest of C tiers. It is on the verge of B tier, okay? But I pick up the burst rifle and would use the burst rifle before I would use the shotguns in this game. Now, I know you're yelling and you're about to go into my comments and say this is A class or B class, but this is a personal preference again. Sorry, it's the highest of C though. Just know it's like right there at B. All right, Revolver. Okay, this one's a weird one. So if you played Apex Legends, you would know about the Wingman. The Wingman is a really, really, really high skill cap gun. It has really good damage, limited ammo capacity, very good gun, right? Or as Hutch would say, capacitors. Anyways, with the capacity of the Revolver, you have 6 shots. I don't think it goes up with the different colors. Let's see. Faster reloads, reload, recovery, extended effective range. Okay, yeah. So at like gold, you have really good range. It reloads really fast, actually. And it hits hard as fuck. If you shoot someone in the head with this, it hits like a truck. I'm pretty sure you could kill to the body with the 6 shots. I'm not sure. I don't use it enough to know that information. But the Revolver is a solid gun, but it has an insanely high skill ceiling. Like a really high skill ceiling. So, just like the Wingman, I'm gonna put it up there, but I need to preface this with it's incredibly hard to use, and if you fuck up with this thing, you die. So I'm gonna say it's the lowest of A tiers. It's literally right here on the B tier. Like it's crossing the line. But again, like if you have insanely high skill, the Revolver is actually really, really insane. And I remember the first time I picked one up and I was scoring all my hits with it. I was so impressed by it that I was like, I can't believe that this whole time I thought this weapon was garbage, because that's just not true. Oh, sorry, stupid thing. All right, next we have the silenced SMG. This is a weird one. So right away, I'm letting you know this is definitely an A tier gun, but I need to preface this with it depends on the color. So if you have a green one, it's not going to be horrible. You know, it's still a great submachine gun, but the limited ammo capacity with the damage, and if you miss any of your shots with green, it can hurt really bad. Now, granted, you usually find a blue SMG, and that's enough to get you by. But realistically, it's like it's going to be a preference with this thing. I think the SMG is actually pretty insane. When I find a gold one, I know I've almost won the game. But gold SMG to gold AK point blank, I've lost that trade sometimes. Should you? Probably not. I think the silenced SMG is like king of short range. It beats the shotguns from my experience, especially if you're like me and you land a lot of headshots. So it's weird because I wanted to say on color, I wanted to rate this on color average, but it varies so wildly with the silenced SMG that usually you're only picking it up if you see blue or even purple or higher, usually. And when you pick up the golden one, you've become a god mode at point blank and people are screwed. So this is a hard one to rate, but this is mostly a little bit biased and a little bit based on the fact that I always find purple and gold ones. But I am also going to have to put that SMG in A. It's just, for what it does, it's insane. But it's a specialty weapon, right? Like, you're not going to be shooting people from far away. But the thing about it is you know that coming into it. When you pick up a silenced SMG, you know that it's going to be short range. And, you know, it's just a damn good gun. and you're not going to be shooting at people far away. So for what it does and what it is, I have to say my personal preference is that it's an A-class weapon. Yes, I believe that it's an A-class over the MG. It's just the MG is just so jack of all trades that it only feels right that it sits at like the B-A tier. You know what I mean? All right. Oh, I wish it would stop taking me out of the items. So next we have the sniper rifle. The sniper rifle, it has a little bit of a drop. Sometimes it feels hit scan and sometimes it doesn't. I think that's the state of the servers because, you know, I'm playing early on. I think this is like day 5 of the alpha. It's insanely good. It hits for 80 on the body. For headshots, it hits for 160. You get a really nice clear sight picture. And the only thing I would change, and I hope the devs change this, is your crosshair is so thin that sometimes you lose it in the really dark game. Because the game is so dark and there's so many edges and so many other like crosshair-like spots in the game that when you scope in sometimes, you lose your crosshair. And that's the biggest criticism I have with it. But once you get really used to it, or you just know where the center of your screen is when using the sniper rifle, it's really easy to say that the sniper rifle is just an A-class weapon. Like, it's up there with the AK, obviously. It's the king of range, and like the only thing holding it back from S is up close. The hip fire is pretty rough. Quick scoping is really easy in this game, and if you wanted to put this in S tier, I would totally understand, actually. Like, it just makes sense to me. And, you know, it's the same with the AK. I think the AK and the sniper rifle are both on the line to S tier, but I think that due to the lack of close range with it, now granted, you would obviously run like an SMG with it, but due to the lack of close range, I can't make it S because it's not God tier at everything. And same with the AK, you know, it's just not God tier at everything, but it's good at everything. It's just good at everything. And it does, you know, it is what it is. Just like how I put the SMG because it's the king of short range, this is the king of long range. So it makes sense to me, honestly. All right, now for the Togglable machine gun. If this gun was a person, I would slap them the moment I saw them on the streets. I hate this gun. This gun is awful. The fire rate is awful. The damage is awful. The accuracy is awful. What situations you use it in are awful. The colors, like in strength as you get higher tier colors, is awful. This gun is absolutely dog. It is dog dookie poodoo. I hate this gun. If you like this gun, I have no idea how. Its fire rate is so bad, it loses at its most effective range to other weapons that are out of their most effective range. Like, are you supposed to long range it? Well, the sniper rifle and the DMR both destroy this thing at long range, and it's super inaccurate. So, like, what, is it mid-range? Well, even the Tommy gun could beat this guy at mid-range as long as they burst, although I would be surprised if they did. The AK fucking destroys this guy. Like, nothing, and the MG would shred this thing. You're probably going to miss all your shots and go through a long reload, and the MG's still firing at you. Like, this gun is dookie-ass garbage. I can't use it close range, I can't use it mid-range, I can't use it long range, I can't hit anything long range, I miss half my shots short range. When I'm hitting up close range, I feel like it's not the gun, it's not the tool for the trade at close range, and I get shredded by an SMG or a Tommy gun or something. This gun is doo-doo, and in fact, I'm giving it its own rating of get the fuck up out of my face. That gun is fucking butt cheeks. I don't want to look at it, I don't want to talk about it, I hate that gun. It is disgusting. Just let me know in the comments if you like it, but I'm going to disagree with you and laugh at you. All right. So moving on from that disgusting thing, we have the Tommy gun. The Tommy gun is a weird one for me because I acknowledge that it's pretty decent. Its mid-range is all right. If you burst with it, you can actually get a lot of shots on target at mid-range. If you hold it down at somebody who's close, it's pretty damn accurate. You're going to get a really good typewriter straight to them. But I don't know if it's the damage. I don't know if it's the fire rate. There's something about it that it, you know, I would rather just replace it a lot of times. And as far as, is it supposed to be an SMG? Is it supposed to be like a mid to mid short range weapon? It kind of loses its identity. The Tommy gun is one of those guns you pick up off the start. You're not sad that you have it, but you're not really sure at the identity of the gun, and you generally will use it up close range. Now, up close range, it loses to the SMG, it loses to the AK, it loses to the shotguns, but it's not a bad gun, and mid-range, it's really difficult to get to control yourself to make sure you're just putting out burst shots, and you can chip away, but if they're fighting back and they have something like an AK, the light machine gun, dual pistols even, they'll easily beat you if they realize you're holding the Tommy gun and decide to commit to that kind of a fight. So unfortunately for the Tommy gun, as much as I really do like it, because I think it's a pretty decent gun, I think it's a C tier weapon. Now, actually, if I'm doing that, what I actually will do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in C tier. This weapon disgusts me. Ugh. That's going in C tier. And we're going to take the Tommy gun and we're going to put it up here in B tier. But it's the worst of the B tier and it's nigh on C tier. And that's only because it doesn't do anything good, but it doesn't do anything bad. It's just kind of there. And in fact, I really would prefer a mid-range fight with my pistol rather than using the Tommy gun. It is what it is. Well, thanks so much for watching. That's my wrap up. We can talk about the melee really quick. Fire axe, B tier. Katana, S tier. Scourge blades, A to S tier. That's gonna be preference. And then the spike bat for me is shit tier. It's really slow. It doesn't really do much. The fact that it and the fire axe don't have a special ability, it makes them kind of meh, but the fire axe is really satisfying to swing, and I think it's a little bit faster, where obviously katana deflect, S tier, scourge blades, you could say they're S tier. I like the mobility they give, but the lack of defense kind of makes them an A tier, but they're still God tier because you swing really fast, you're really like light and nimble with them and the mobility. But anyways, one last look. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow me over on Twitch to see when I go live. Or I mean on my Twitter to see when I go live on Twitch, and tune in. I go live every single day right around 2 to 3 o'clock p.m. EST, and I appreciate all of you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe down below to see more content like this. I am in love with Blood Hunt right now, and I can't stop playing it. And you know what? I think I'm going to stick with it for a little while because it's a solid game, and the devs seem pretty cool, and the updates I think are going to be great. So, before this drags on too long, let me know in the comments below what your favorite weapon is and why, and let me know how stupid I am for this list. Alright, thanks guys. Later.